Okay, year one, this week we are going to make our own sculpture. Now, a sculpture is a piece of art that isn't flat. It's something that stands up and is what we call 3D. So you can see that this sculpture of a koi fish isn't flat, whereas my paper is flat. So this is what we call a sculpture. And we are going to make a koi fish. It's the last week we're going to focus on koi fish. And if you are at home, you can choose what materials you use. You can use either oil pastels or crayons or felt tips or paint. In school today, we're going to use oil pastels. We're also going to use a black pen, a glue stick, and you will need some pieces of card. If you don't have card at home, then you can use paper, and if you have coloured card, you can use that, or if not, it's fine to use white paper. So in school, we're going to make a koi fish sculpture like this using oil pastel. This one I made using paint, and if you're at home, you may choose to make a painted koi fish. It's up to you. But I'm going to demonstrate how to make a pastel koi fish today. If you are at home, and you are painting, the first thing you would do is take one of your pieces of paper that is going to be the body, and you would paint some patterns like scales onto your paper. Okay, so you may paint it like this. You may then choose to do a pattern around it. It's actually all up to you how you decide to paint the piece of paper for the body. Okay, but I'm going to today demonstrate what to do using oil pastels. So I'm going to use this piece of paper for my body of my fish, my koi fish. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make scale shapes. The bits on the fish's skin that you will see, they're all loose shapes, this sort of shape, okay? And I'm going to draw them all over in my black pen. And if you are painting at home, you may want to do the same. It's up to you to decide. So all over are my scales. And then I'm going to start to decorate the scales. So I'm going to mirror that shape with my pastel. I'm going to hold it on the side, just using the side of the pastel, and I'm going to mirror the pattern of the scale. You then might want to do some scale shapes inside. You might want to add a spot in the middle. It's up to you to decide, and I think I'm going to use the same pattern all the way through. You might decide to add a little bit more detail to your pattern, but you're trying to make this look like the skin of your koi fish, okay? So I'm going to continue that all the way down the piece of paper. And this will be the body part of my fish, okay? You decide on the colours, but nice bright colours would make it look nice and interesting. Okay, so I will leave you to finish off decorating the body of the fish. Then, year one, what you need to do is to take a second piece of paper. So this piece of paper is half the size of an A4 piece that I usually ask you to have. So your piece of paper can be cut into two sections like that. Okay? So then I'm going to ask you to take a second piece of paper, and we're going to draw the tail. Now the tail will be a long, thin section that comes out and then curves around like this. Okay? And then I'm also going to make the fins. So I'm just going to draw a big shape like this, and you need to try and use up the whole piece of paper to make those shapes. The next thing you will need to do is cut those shapes out. So here I go, year one. So cut out all of those shapes, and I will leave you to do that now. Okay, so once you've cut out the shapes, this is what you should have. I want you to take your tail and you're going to fin the fish's tail to make it look more lifelike. So all you're going to do is going to make cuts into the tail. Cut and then stop. Cut and then stop. And you're going to do that all the way around the tail. Be very careful not to cut any of the sections off. But just keep fanning the tail like this. And then if you want to, you can add more pattern onto your tail. Okay, I'm just going to do bone-like bits in the tail, nice bright sections. And if you're painting at home, you can do exactly the same using paint. So there's my tail. And then I'm just going to add a few details onto the fins of my fish as well, just like that. Okay, maybe a little bit of colour. There we have it. Okay, so now I have all the parts of the fish I need apart from the eyes, and I will go to the eyes later on. So now year one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little band across the koi fish's face, and I'm going to do that by taking the piece of paper that I cut out the tail from, just finding the end of that piece of paper and cutting a long strip across like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my long side of my piece of paper and I'm going to stick that piece of paper, paper, along the top. Now, if you are using white paper, you could just colour that piece, you could paint that piece of paper or colour it in. Now, you need to hold it down for a few seconds to make sure that it sticks. Once you are absolutely sure it's stuck, pick up your pieces of paper. Oh, mine's stuck. And then what you're going to do is you're going to glue down the short side of the paper. A nice thick layer of glue. And then you're going to roll the two ends together to meet and stick them together. Now, if I let go now, it's going to pop undone. What I need to do is I need to hold it together for a few seconds, quite a few seconds. If you don't do that, the two sides will pop open again. So I need to hold it together, keep it nice and still, and maybe press down on it from above like this to make sure that the two sides stick really well together. As I say, if you let go, it probably won't stick well, so you need to hold it for a few seconds. Once that is nicely stuck, you're going to take the fish's tail, you're going to put glue across the top of the fish's tail at the end, and then you're going to glue that. Make sure the crease where you join the two is at the bottom. You're going to glue the tail in, and again you need to hold onto that tail to make sure it sticks hard. Okay? Keep holding on, pressing to make sure it doesn't come away. The next step is just to push down on the end of the fish so it looks a little bit flatter at the end and it pops out at the front. That's how you want your fish to look. And then it's time to add the fin. So you're going to fold the front of the fin across, and that means you can then stick it onto the side. So just glue that first section and stick it onto the side. Hold onto it again, because otherwise it will spring off. And you need to do the same on the other side. Just put your hand inside, and one hand inside, one hand on top. Okay, so now it's looking more fish-like. The final step is to cut out some circles from your cards. It doesn't matter if you're using white cards or coloured cards. Cut out those circles from your paper, and these are going to be the eyes. And I'm going to just colour in the centre, colour in the centre, and stick those onto the front. And remember, hold it down. And this side, and hold it down. And there we have a sculpture of a koi fish. I look forward to seeing your sculptures year 1. Bye for now.